Deep in Montana mountains, a huge stone wall has been unearthed after being buried for millennia. Blocks weighing more than 90 tons are perfectly aligned, strange knobs adorn their surface, and the whole structure is directed toward the winter solstice. Some claim it is merely nature's handiwork, but others whisper that it is the final remnant of an extinct civilization older than the pyramids. Why was it buried for so long, and what lies still buried beneath the earth? This is the question now that captures explorers, researchers, skeptics, and dreamers alike, a puzzle that starts with what many today refer to as the hidden giant in Montana. Beneath centuries of toppled trees and dense soil, there is a wall so imposing and so exacting that it cannot possibly be here. When first seen by humans, they wrote about it as though nature itself had constructed its own stronghold, colossal granite slabs well fitting together like a jigsaw puzzle, running in a line too even to be natural. How did such a construction lay hidden all these years? Who could have constructed it, if constructed at all? And is it not possible that the United States has been holding one of the world's greatest archaeological enigmas right under our noses and unaware of it? If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. The tale does not start with university archaeologists or government-sponsored excavations but with two typical landowners, Christopher Borton and Linda Welsh. On their own ranch in deep Montana, away from big towns and cities, they chose to clear an area of the forest that had been overrun for what felt like hundreds if not thousands of years. They anticipated finding knotted roots, downed logs, and strewn boulders characteristic of the rugged Rockies. What they found, however, was something much more bizarre, a huge wall constructed out of boulder-sized stone blocks so square, so angular, and so precisely aligned that it defied explanation. This was not a rock pile or a natural outcropping. It was something else altogether, a deliberately constructed-looking wall in the middle of nowhere where no civilization had ever been meant to construct such structures. The more of it they cut through, the more breathtaking the discovery proved. Consisting of almost 275 feet of visible length, and parts 25 feet high above the ground, the wall already loomed larger than anything they had dreamed. Subsequent polls indicated that perhaps another 15 feet are hidden under the ground, so the actual height is possibly 40 feet when dug out. That is not an easy wall but a stone skyscraper when viewed in its entirety. The blocks themselves are gargantuan. Some of the biggest weigh an estimated 91 tons apiece, the equivalent of over 60 standard cars. If you stack them all together, the wall would stretch nearly the length of a football field, and yet each block fits snugly against the next with barely a gap, as if someone or something had planned to build an impenetrable barrier resistant to time. The so-called Sage Wall is astonishing not only in its scale but in its geometry. Granite, the rock that makes it up, is an igneous intrusive rock that solidified deep within the earth. When it naturally fractures, it does not break into clean cubes or sharp angles but into jagged, irregular pieces. But here in Montana we observe what appears to be a gigantic wall of polygonal blocks with sharp edges and straight lines. It looks as if it was carved intentionally, as though ancient master masons with remarkable skill cut the raw granite into behemoth blocks and stacked them into a linear building. But could nature possibly replicate human craftsmanship so accurately? Across the globe, there are only a few locations where such stonework is found: Peru's towering walls of Sacsayhuaman, ancient Greece's Cyclopean masonry, or Japanese megaliths that still puzzle scientists. In all those instances, human construction is the explanation, but in Montana, no civilization is known to have quarried, cut, or moved such stones. The finding adds a new twist of mystery to American history. Complicating the puzzle are mysterious knobs that project from the stone surfaces. The rounded bulges are found on a majority of the blocks, sticking out as if they had been deliberately positioned there. Their function was never adequately accounted for, but one thing is certain: identical knobs are found at almost every other notable megalithic site globally. At Sacsayhuaman in Peru, in Egypt, in India, and in China they crop up again and again, sometimes believed to have been rope-lifting points or indicia of some symbolic intent. To discover them here in Montana, on rocks allegedly broken by accident, is more than coincidence for most researchers. It proposes either a common building tradition that was once continental or a natural phenomenon so accurate it deceives the eye into design belief. The sage wall lay hidden for years, entombed beneath toppled trees and dense underbrush. Only after tireless clearing did the owners unveil its true shape. Some geologists summarily dismissed it as natural, a broken cliff face. But the sheer mass, the eerie rightness of fit, and the mysterious knobs puzzled others with too many questions rather than answers. Might this be the remains of a vanished civilization? Might it be part of a greater complex, still buried underground? Or is nature creative enough to come up with what seems to be architecture on a grand scale? One of the earliest to record the wall in all its detail was Michael Collins, the maker of the YouTube series Wandering Wolf, who explores ancient ruins worldwide. His experience left him dumbfounded. Strolling along the wall, he identified the knobs and the unusual channels etched into the rock as if to channel water. He discovered other wall-like structures in the vicinity, indicating that Sage Wall may not be alone but part of a larger structure. In many areas he saw grooves and cuts that appeared to be man-made, more tool marks than they were natural fissures. One highly weathered fragment even looked like one of Egypt's Karnak temple blocks, with squared grooves and round indentations. He also mapped cup marks, small circular hollows that appear on ancient sites all over the world, usually associated with ritual or astronomical use. Their occurrence in Montana resonates with Peruvian and European sites, adding to the mystery. The mystery deepened when controversial Bosnian pyramid investigator Dr. Samir Osmanagic dropped by. He agreed that Sage Wall was built by humans, pointing out its alignment with the winter solstice, an orientation shared by Stonehenge and other megalithic complexes. He posited that the wall dates back before the end of the Ice Age, with its construction at least 11,700 years ago, prior to Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. If that were the case, it would mean it was constructed long before established archaeology accepts that there are complex civilizations in North America, at a period when humans were believed to have been nomadic hunter-gatherers. Could such groups have had sophisticated stoneworking abilities and knowledge of the stars, or does this indicate an entire lost civilization wiped from the books? The position of the wall adds to the intrigue. During the Ice Age, the seas were lower and there was a land bridge between Asia and North America. The region where Sage Wall sits was an important corridor between glaciers, channeling human migrations south. Rivers close by flow into three various oceans, and it is a strategic location for trade and transportation. The area is also mineral-rich with huge quartz crystals. Was this wall part of a central congregating place or ceremonial complex in the earliest human migrations? And if it exists that long ago, how did it endure the cataclysmic Missoula floods and the Younger Dryas, which reformed the entire region with glacial torrents and disturbance? As researchers dug deeper, they started connecting Sage Wall to other anomalies in the region grouped together as the Montana megaliths, the Tizer dolmen, which is similar to European dolmens, pipestone walls, and boulders bearing scoop marks and carvings that suggest artificial shaping. Skeptics attribute them to erosion, but their resemblance to worldwide megalithic civilizations prompts speculation that Montana had an advanced civilization in the past that has been forgotten. Some even speculate that whoever constructed these monuments would have had advanced technology, such as machines to cut and transport blocks weighing dozens of tons, or knowledge of star alignments incorporated in their buildings. Some take it a step further, postulating that Montana was at one time a nexus in an international network of civilizations. But skeptics have geology as an argument. Montana perches on top of the boulder batholith, a huge granite complex formed millions of years ago. Granite breaks up under tectonic pressure and erosion in blocky fashion that may appear to be walls. Straight crevices can run across entire cliff faces, giving the appearance of stacked blocks. Geologists such as Timothy Alberino observe that Sage Wall's cracks tend to be continuous from bottom to top, something that would be structurally faulty if it were artificial but is normal in fractured granite. The knobs, according to them, are created when more resilient minerals last longer against erosion than the surrounding rock, thus leaving protrusions that resemble deliberate design. And, significantly, no cultural artifacts have yet to be discovered, no tools, no pottery, no carvings, that would suggest human presence. Without artifacts, most archaeologists are skeptical. But there are anomalies. Ground-penetrating radar indicates the wall exists below ground level, perhaps on a flat base unlike natural geology. Tests revealed unexplained magnetism in the rocks, enough to pin magnets to them, suggesting concentrations of minerals or unexplained processes. These inexplicable facts maintain the controversy. In the absence of peer-reviewed research, the enigma stays with independent researchers, supporting speculation that mainstream archaeology shuns sites contradicting current narratives. Around the world, there are similarities. The wall reminds one of Sacsayhuaman's exactitude in Peru, the enormity of the blocks in Egypt's Great Pyramid, Göbekli Tepe's ancient pillars in Turkey, and the controversial New Zealand Kaimanawa Wall. Dolmens in Europe, Asia, and Africa remind one of Montana's Tizer dolmen. The repeated motifs, cup marks, knobs, solstice alignments, imply either common ancient knowledge or concomitant cultural evolution. If Sage Wall were man-made, it would redefine the history of North America, advancing advanced construction thousands of years earlier than previously accepted, perhaps to prior to the Ice Age itself. It would either suggest forgotten contact between continents or an independent culture on a par with others worldwide. For the present, Sage Wall says nothing, towering and mutinous, refusing the simplicity of explanation. Is it a work of geology, sculpted by time and pressure into unsettling shapes? Or is it man-made, the legacy of a civilization whose tale has been expunged from the record? The answer lies hidden in the earth of Montana, waiting to be